Gotcha. There's one side dish that goes well with almost everything: French fries. Unfortunately, since potatoes are neither low carb or keto friendly, we must resort to an alternative. In a large bowl he adds almond flour, xanthan gum, and mixes to combine. Afterwards he adds hot water and mixes using the spatula until the mixture is nice and even. However, there's a problem with these French fries, which we will see in a second. He cuts a decently sized portion of paper out of the parchment and proceeds to make the dough airborne, aiming for the center. Folding the paper over the dough, he flattens and shapes the dough into a rectangular shape using his hands. The man continually alternates sides until the rectangle is as straight as his ability permits.
Thanks, Steve.
After placing his delivery on the counter, he fetches a very sharp knife. He evenly cuts the dough into thin French fry-shaped strips. They must be thin, as they will puff up considerably during the cooking process. This is Dennis, the man dedicated to conquering the kitchen and defeating diabetes, and he is currently surprised because in front of him is an equally bald potato with a hat, a mustache, and goes by the name Mr. Potato.
Wait!
Mr. Potato evades the man across the kitchen, taking refuge behind his knives. Dennis informs the lively potato that he means him no harm and explains the fries before him are not made from potatoes, but rather are a low-carb vegan version. Mr. Potato decides to trust Dennis and relaxes while Dennis continues cutting and then heads to the stovetop to make his pommes frites. Once at the stovetop, the heat is set to medium low and copious amounts of olive oil are added to a small pan. Yes, a very copious amount, as he's about to pan fry his little matchsticks. A sacrificial fry is used to determine when the oil is sufficiently hot. Once the bubbles appear, he adds the rest, making sure not to crowd the pan. He rotates the fries until they have a nice golden brown color, then removes them onto a paper-lined plate and takes them to the counter to cool.
So how did you end up in that box to begin with?
Mr. Potato explains that he and his wife lived happily in Ireland. Then the country was stricken with the potato blight of 1845. They saw friends and family die, and the people began to riot. Fear, hunger, and eventually the hatred has turned to the potatoes. Soon, they came for them. He was separated from his wife and shipped to the New World, where he remained imprisoned for many years, but eventually managed to escape. Then he was captured as a culinary prize for the highest bidder. It's been many a year since he's seen his love and is not even sure if she's even alive. And that is how he ended up here, before him.
Wow. What's that? This is a tracking device. You gotta hide. Hi. Bonsoir, monsieur. Je suis Chef Cousteau.
And this is Chef Cousteau, a 2-star Michelin chef in search of his third and on a quest to find the best and rarest ingredients on Earth, to infinity and beyond.
Parlez-vous français? Un peu?
Bon.
May I? Oui, oui, oui. S'il vous plaît. Merci. So, how may I help you, chef? Monsieur, I believe you have something of mine. I ordered a special pomme de terre, so special it was tracked by GPS. And, according to my phone, it is right here. Don't! C'est un problème? No, just didn't want you to dirty your hands. D'accord. However, I see you've used my potato for some pommes frites. May I? Oui. N'est pas bon, n'est pas mauvais. I have a proposition, monsieur. This evening I'm expecting some very distinguished guests at my restaurant, and I'd like for them to enjoy themselves. And I believe fries would pair really well with my tasty menu. However, I don't have the time to come up with a unique recipe, and I believe you can do it. What say you? Bon. Settled. Don't disappoint.
Seems like you dodged your date with fate. Except now we need a banging recipe. Although he finds the fries good, there is room for improvement. And so, to the drawing board, he goes.
That first batch of fries are based on Heavily Fan's fry recipe, and they're good, but they're limited by the fact that they're vegan, something that we don't have to abide by. As a result, I think we can make some vast improvements to that base recipe. What do you think? Clap. Good, we agree.
In the end, he believes he has a pragmatic but flavorful recipe. In a large bowl, he adds 35 grams of fine almond flour. Then, using an aged cheese such as Parmesan or pecorino romano, he freshly grates 15 grams directly into the bowl. Under no circumstance should he use the pre-grated stuff, as it has anti-caking additives that will affect the end result. Next, he adds 1.5 teaspoons of konjac powder, otherwise known as glucomannan powder. In a pinch, you could also use xanthan gum, but it will yield a less superior French fry, and under no circumstance should you use gelatin, as it will simply disintegrate as it fries. Baking powder for oomph, and the first secret ingredient, cornstarch.
Yes, cornstarch. Now this ingredient is entirely optional, but we're only adding 4 grams of net carbs, so to me it's absolutely worth it. This is what's going to give those French fries that extra crisp that we really want. But again, entirely optional. And don't bother trying to coat it in it because it just won't work. And it's everywhere.
And since it's everywhere, he cleans, because that's. A teaspoon of cornstarch is added, followed by 2 pinches of salt. Then the second secret ingredient, monosodium glutamate, otherwise known as MSG. This falsely feared ingredient is an absolute flavor bomb and perfect for fries. Just what Uncle Roger ordered. Using a tiny whisk meant for trials, he mixes the dry ingredients until they are evenly combined. Then he adds enough hot water for a thirsty ant. Although the dough will appear that it isn't coming together, it will eventually mix into a smooth clay-like consistency. Then, much like before, he uses a large section of paper or parchment and places his dough in the center. While flattening, if the dough separates, simply recombine and continue. No harm done. After a few iterations, he is content enough with his shape to begin fashioning the fry. He could use a sharp knife, but instead he will use what the French better know as a guillotine, or a crinkle cutter thingy. This tool can also be used to cut vegetables and of course even potatoes. However, for now it is used to make crinkle cut fries, which will provide great surface area for sauces. The shape also has a certain je ne sais quoi to it. He cuts the fries as evenly as he can, and the next stop to Flavor Town is the cooking oil.
Now, something like extra virgin olive oil works really well, but if you want something that tastes more like something out of the Golden Arches, you're going to want to use beef tallow. And as soon as you use this, your place is going to smell like McDonald's. We're pulling out all the stops. We want to go as fancy as we can, which is why we're going to use duck fat. Considered liquid gold by chefs around the world, this stuff makes eggs, bacon, anything taste delicious. And fries, this is tasting menu level. If only I could talk. This is tasting menu level stuff.
Over medium-low heat, he adds just enough liquid gold to his pan to cover the bottom. The stuff is expensive. Once hot, he places his first fry to ensure bubbles, then adds the rest, one by one, again, avoiding overcrowding. He rotates and cooks the fries until they get a light golden brown. Any darker and they simply taste burnt. A little trick is to tip the pan to create a sort of deep fry for the fries. Again, just make sure to rotate them and remove them once a light golden brown. then allowed to cool for a minute or two.
Come in! You need the hide. Hey, chef.
Ça va, monsieur? Ça sent le pommes frites?
He's it, but I'm not done yet.
Although the fries are complete, he wants to elevate them with his garnish game. Dennis grabs a small handful of flat leaf parsley, picks out the seeds and stems, and finally chops it. The fries are roughly added to a bowl and the parsley is sprinkled atop. Then he freshly grates some pecorino romano to provide more depth to the fries. A side of some red dipping sauce, and he cleans.
Now, these are just a taste test. There's not a lot in there, so. Monsieur? So magnifique. How you've turned my potato into this masterpiece, I have no idea. But I look forward to the recipe, and mon dieu, is that my potato?
I can explain, they're low carb.
You have made pommes frites with that pomme de terre? This is an insult to Belgian cuisine. Do you think I'm a fool, garçon?
No, just a man in search of his third.
Pardon?
You tried them. They're light, crispy, full of flavor, and they're not even made from potatoes. They can be low carb, keto friendly, and most importantly, nobody has them. And that is guaranteed to get you the 3rd star. They are light, they are crispy. Only have one condition. Anything.
And so Dennis shared his recipe with Chef Cousteau.
It's a one-way ticket. You better get going.
Later that evening, the chef served the fries along with a bacon jam to his guests. The fries earned him his coveted 3rd Michelin star, and as a result, the chef kept his side of the bargain. Never used potatoes again. And as for Mr. Potato, he was on his way to a potato sanctuary in Idaho.